Now joining us here on the program is Lewis and Clark golfer and Roseburg native Drew Groshong, who had one heck of a weekend. Finished second at the Pacific Lutheran Invitational, shooting even par for the tournament. He finished just one stroke off the lead and ends up in second place, one of his best finishes in his collegiate career. And joining us, Drew, here. Thanks so much for some time this afternoon. I'm sure you've got a busy schedule, as I'm sure school's probably either already underway or just getting started for you this week. Drew, thanks so much for coming in on the program.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, hey, this last weekend, obviously a great tournament for you up in Washington, DuPont, Washington. And I was looking through your bio on lcpioneers.com, the website for the Lewis and Clark Pioneers, and it said your freshman year you had one of your best rounds of your season up at this same course. And so I was curious, what is it about playing golf up there in DuPont, Washington that seems to fit your game so well?
You know, I don't really have any idea. It's a golf course that when we first got to my freshman year, I didn't really like how it looked. It's a different kind of golf course than what I've always played growing up around Roseburg. But, I mean, it was nice. This last weekend, the weather was perfect. It was a little windy the second day, but it was warm. It was way warmer than it was my freshman year. Freshman year, it was probably 35 degrees the second day. So it was nice to just go and have a tournament where you didn't have to worry about the weather so much.
In the Pacific Northwest, yeah, I'm sure around this time of year, I'm sure that's pretty nice to be able to go and do that. You were tied for the lead after day one. What was going well for you in that first round that was able to get you to where you were, 2 under par, to be tied for the lead there?
I was just playing solid. I didn't do anything that was unreasonable. I drove the ball really well, so I had a lot of opportunities to hit the greens, but the greens are pretty big. I felt pretty good on them. I was rolling the putter well. I'd struggled the weekend before putting, so I worked on that all week and got into where I felt pretty good about that. And it was just a good, solid round. It wasn't anything out of this world. It wasn't any impressive streaks. It was just good, clean golf.
And then the second day, Sunday, you mentioned the weather kind of turned a little bit, got a little bit windy out there, but you end up 2 over par, which, you know, if you were asking me, I would easily take that score. But for you, I know you have your sights set a little bit higher than that. You fall back a little bit, but through that round on the second day, were you watching the leaderboard much, trying to figure out where you were at, or was it something that you were just trying to keep out of your mind as you tried to get back to even or get back under par?
Well, there's no real leaderboard around at kind of some of the non-big conference tourneys for us, so it was more just going out and playing golf. All the other leaders were in the groups behind me because their teams had finished first and second, so I wasn't playing with any of them. I was just going out and playing around the golf.
I'm talking with Drew Groshong here, Roseburg native, golfing with Lewis and Clark at the moment. And Drew, so obviously that second round, was there something in particular that, obviously not a terrible round, shooting even par for the tournament, but you shoot 2 over on the second day. Was there something that kind of struggled a little bit more the second day than it did the first day for you?
Well, I was 1 under at the turn both days, and so I was feeling really good on Sunday. And then just made a couple bogeys coming in. It started to blow pretty good, and it wasn't like I gave myself chances for birdie, didn't make those, and the holes I bogeyed, I had chances for par, and I lipped out a couple. I'm never going to complain about an even par tournament. I've never done that before until this week, so it was fun to just go see some putts drop over the weekend and get a good start to the year.
Well, yeah, it definitely is, and I was going to ask you that next. It's only your second tournament up there for Lewis and Clark in the season so far, and obviously one of your better performances as a collegian. And so to get your season started out with this nice performance, do you think that kind of sets things up for you for this rest of the season to have a very successful and maybe one of your best years up there at Lewis and Clark?
Yeah, no, I really hope so. This summer was the most I've ever put into focusing on just golf, so I really hope that actually pays off and starts leading somewhere. I think it was definitely a good kind of momentum tournament because the next tournament I'm playing is our big conference tournament for the fall, so it's nice to go and see all the other players in the conference at this tournament, see that I can not only play with them but play better than them at times, so it was good to see.
You mentioned your summer there and that you spent a lot of time working on your game. Did you get a chance to play at any cool courses over the summer that maybe would make other golf fans jealous?
I mean, Roseburg Country Club might make a couple people jealous. That's about where I played.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's a very nice course, especially to be able to get out there and play quite a bit there and have some fun there. I know that they do a lot of times, it's been up in the Crestwell at the course there, that they've done like the U.S. Open qualifiers and stuff. Have you ever qualified for one of those or played in one of those tournaments?
I've done the Oregon AM tournaments the 2 summers before this last one, but this last summer I was actually abroad, so I didn't have a chance to do any of those qualifying tournaments.
Okay. Is it something that might be on your horizon as you look towards the future or something like that?
I mean, I hope so. It's as much time as I'm putting into golf here, I might as well try and qualify and
see what happens.
For fun to see what I can do.
Yeah, exactly. See what happens. Talking with Drew Groshong, a Roseburg native, and golfing with Lewis and Clark. Finished second at the PLU Invitational up in Washington over the weekend. And Drew, the team, I know that I've followed it a little bit. Your progress up there, every so often it crosses my path that I'll see that and see what you've been doing up there, and you've had great success. But the team as itself, as a whole, hasn't had the greatest of success while you've been there at Lewis and Clark, but you guys finished 5th as a team in this tournament. Does it seem like maybe the golf roster that you guys are able to put together out there on the links is starting to improve a little bit, and that you guys might be able to challenge for that top half standing in the conference?
Oh, I mean, without a doubt. Like last year, we had a pretty good team going into the fall, and then a couple of guys studied abroad, and one other guy transferred. So it was just a tough break. This year, we got the 2 study abroad guys back. We had a couple of pretty solid freshmen who helped us a lot. So now, instead of working as hard as we can to just not finish last, we actually can compete. I mean, I looked at the tournament score. We were 4 shots out of 4th, and to take 4th in a tournament of 10 teams that's a huge step in the right direction for us.
Well, that's good to hear that things are kind of moving in the right direction. And talking with Drew Groshong here, who is going to be competing yet for another year, his junior year up at Lewis and Clark. And as you guys look forward to what's coming up next, you mentioned some big tournaments on the horizon. What is next for you and the Lewis and Clark men's golf team?
Well, 2 weeks from now is our big fall tournament, and then basically after that we're done up until the spring. And then when the spring comes around, we have a few tournaments here and there. We might have one tournament where we travel for spring break, and then we'll have 2 other conference tournaments that make up our entire season at the very end. So there's a little bit of a sprint in the fall, and then you take a good break, and then we get after it again in the spring.
What do you do during a break during the winter? Obviously, golf course is, not always the most friendly place to be when it's out there cold, rainy, wet, maybe a little snowy or something like that. Do you have indoor facilities that you guys practice in, or how do you spend your winter when you're trying to get ready for then the spring season?
Well, here on campus we have a simulator that we can play on if it's pretty bad out. Most ranges around here have a covered area that you can hit out of, and then, part of the break is taking a break from golf for at least like November and some of December, finishing up finals, focusing on that, and then when we get a month off for winter break, and so when I go home, that's when I'll start working on my game again, is once I'm back home.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, Drew, I really appreciate a couple moments of your time here. Congratulations on a great performance up there, and hopefully we'll see more good things for you throughout the rest of your season this year as a junior up there at Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, thank you, sir.